Let's see if they can turn two. There's one. And there's two.
Pretty big fish to fry. It's a pretty big fish to fry. My, my. It's a pretty big fish to fry. It's a pretty big fish to fry. My. Last weekend I barely thought I'd make it out alive. Told myself I'd take time and give some love a try. I wasn't right. My, oh my.
Oh, yeah. It is Tuesday, November the 1st. You are checking out the premier sports and beer podcast coming to you from all over the United States of America. It is turn two, the average sports fan's turn to give you their take about what's going on in the world of sports. Thanks so much for joining us here. We are Facebook Live tonight. We are YouTube Live tonight. We are trying all sorts of stuff out. My name is Jeff. I'm joined this week by our distinguished panel. Joining us from Denville, New Jersey tonight, we got Brett.
Hi, friends.
Hello, friend. From the city of winners, as I said last week. Hopefully we can continue that this week. We've got Sean.
How's it going?
Sean from Chi-Town. In Whippany, New Jersey, we've got Paul.
What's up?
And from our nation's capital, which I heard the other day, the DC stands for the capital, is Yampo.
Yellow.
So we got a lot going on. If you are checking us out on Facebook Live, feel free to jump in with any kind of comments that you have, any questions that you have. We're going to be looking at those throughout the night. If not, and you're catching this on a replay, maybe on a download over on a podcast download, you can check us out. We're going to try to do some of these live Facebook events from time to time. But for now, let's kick it off.
And good evening, everybody. And despite the fact that I have just knocked a cup of coffee in my lap and a suit that's just out of the cleaners, it's great to be home.
And his first pitch to D. Gordon is almost on the kneecaps for ball one. D just did get out of the way.
It's the first pitch.
Okay, so this week's first pitch, I had a couple things in mind that I was going to do. However, over the last hour or 2 hours or so, some news came across the wire out of Fort Lee, New Jersey. No, it was not the closing of the George Washington Bridge. Mets pitcher Jeurys Familia was arrested on Monday for a domestic violence incident. And I know we had spent a good amount of time last week discussing domestic violence on this show and how just absolutely horrible it is based off of the situation that happened with the Giants in the NFL. And I think we need to address it and address it very, very succinctly and very clearly. Everybody on this panel has a job. Everybody on this panel has someone in their life that they care about that's a female. And we're all completely repulsed by the idea of domestic violence. Throw it out there immediately. I can't speak for anybody else, but I can speak for my line of work. And if I was ever arrested for domestic violence or drug abuse or drinking and driving or sexual misconduct, I would be fired. Doesn't matter how good I am at my job. I would be fired. And so we make every argument in the book. It's a business. It's about money. It's about what these guys can bring in, their revenue, et cetera, and all that's fine. But the bottom line is, as a country, we need to draw a line in the sand and say, no matter what your profession is, no matter what your ability is, if you do these horrible things, you should not be permitted to earn that kind of money. And I don't care if you can throw 100 miles an hour, if you can shoot 50% from behind the three-point line, or you can throw with incredible accuracy to a wide receiver streaking down the field. If you're a domestic abuser or a drug addict or somebody that drives while intoxicated, we need to have bigger and better standards for those people. Because we do have little kids that are looking up to them, whether we like it or not. Charles Barkley had the argument, I'm not a role model. That's garbage. These guys are role models. And so the big business that puts them up on the television screens, on the radio, on the internet, we need to do a better job of holding these people accountable. All right. So that takes us out of our first pitch, and it's going to bring us to our first topic of today. We had an interesting weekend of college football, and our college football resident expert, Sean, is with us tonight. Sean, what's going on?
All is good, my friend. Thanks for having me. We're live, huh?
We are live. We are live. I don't know if the Facebook Live thing is working out, so somebody's got to keep me abreast on that.
It's probably because we're not in suits. People expect more out of us. But you're in a basement, and Yampo's in his daughter's playroom.
Listen, I'm wearing a collar.
Yeah.
The only one.
I'm pretty confident that anybody that knows me is not expecting better than whatever slop we're throwing out there tonight. So Sean, in week 9, we saw 4 unbeaten teams go down, right? We got Baylor lost to Texas, West Virginia lost to Oklahoma State, Boise State lost to Wyoming, Nebraska loses to Wisconsin. I guess let's start with those games. Do you want to give us just a quick recap of those games? Maybe we'll start with Baylor and Texas.
Yeah, sure. I think last week I had made a prediction on the Twitter that said one of the 2 Big 12 teams would go down. I was surprised to see both. But what's, I guess, fitting with all that is that the Big 12 pretty much sealed their fate in kind of not having a team represented in the playoff. The Baylor UT game was a shootout. It was a fun game to watch. I was there with Matthew McConaughey, name drop.
You guys were sitting together?
Yeah, we were divided by a fence and a rather large steer animal, but we were hanging out. He knows me. Anyway, leading up to this game, Baylor hadn't really, played anybody big. And to be honest, they were a sneaky number 8 because they were undefeated, but no one really wanted to talk about them positively with all that scandal stuff. But Charlie Strong took the horns of victory and sent Yampo's kids to community college.
Stung the nostrils a little bit. I should have heeded your warning. I wasn't listening.
I know. The other unbeatens, West Virginia. There was a big question mark around West Virginia for a while. Their defense has been outstanding all year, but everyone was kind of wondering if it would stick. That defense has kept opponents to an average of 17 points per game, which is pretty wild if you think about how much scoring is going on in college football these days. But their offense struggled, and ultimately they fell in Stillwater this week. Boise State had a loss from Wyoming, which is a little bit of a head scratcher. Now, Wyoming's not awful, I guess, but I think it's just probably a testament that Boise State was ranked a little bit too high in those AP polls, which was probably justified a little bit here ago with the CFP rankings. Nebraska and Wisconsin played some big old 10 football game. Wisconsin's D continues to impress. Assuming Ohio State beats Nebraska this week, which is a pretty big assumption at this point, it puts Wisconsin back in the fold for a Big Ten championship game from the West, which could create a good rematch, no matter actually how that Ohio State game goes, with Michigan, who had played Wisconsin earlier in the season, had a tight game there, or Ohio State, which was also a tight game, and Wisconsin did a nice job with Ohio State. So those 4 went down. The rankings reflected it a little bit, not too much, but it was an exciting week of college football and fun to kind of see things again continue to shake out.
So, Yampa, did you have any money on any of those games?
I had a little bit of money. I hope my wife's not watching. She's probably not.
She's definitely not our one viewer. She's definitely
good.
not our one.
That's good. Yeah, I didn't listen to Sean and put some money on Baylor. I thought that 4.5 points or 4 points, I can't even remember. I blacked it out of my mind.
3. Yeah.
I think I got him at 4. That might have been the problem.
Did you buy the point?
No, I'm not that rich.
That is what you could do, right?
I did. Yes, you can buy the points down. Yes, that shows confidence in what you're doing when you're buying points down.
So, Sean, outside of those unbeaten teams, we had some big matchups this week. Clemson snuck out, a win against the 3-loss Florida State team. Michigan State, go green.
Go white.
Was maybe surprised somebody. What do you think, Sean? What were your thoughts on those games?
I think we all knew that Clemson, Florida State was going to be a tight one. What remains constant is Clemson's ability to win tight games, which is I attribute that to Dabo. We talked about that as kind of one of the main characteristics of a good coach. Deshaun Watson threw for 378, 2 touchdowns, kind of putting himself back on the map from a Heisman watch, because really all that matters is how you play in November. He had some great help from a defensive line that's been outstanding this year, who just put hit after hit on Florida State's quarterback, Francois. I give Francois a lot of credit. That kid is one tough guy. He stands tall in the pocket, but God, he takes hit after hit, and he just looks like Soda Popinski on Saturday nights, man. He gets brutally murdered every single weekend. It's tough. It's tough to watch. But I think he's the Rocky of college football. He's out there training in Russia and just taking the hits, and he's got the eye of the tiger, man. Just not the Clemson Tigers, because they lost.
With a name like Francois, you gotta be tough.
Sean, you think Clemson is really? I think that's their 3rd or 4th really tight game this year. I mean, that NC State game they probably should have lost, quite frankly. And then they had that game earlier in the season. I think to Troy. Was it? I remember who they played tight, but do you think that this is kind of a good team learning how to win a tight game, or maybe they're not as good as they are being given credit for?
No, I think they are as good. And look, in college football, it's kind of this every given Saturday mentality where anybody can win. We've talked a lot about that on this show. I think they are that good. It'll be interesting. They pull out wins. You can't. That Florida State's a good team. As much as people want to give them crap for getting blown out and having 2 losses on their record, I wouldn't let those 2 losses speak for how well they played this weekend. And I think that's a testament to a good Clemson team.
Yeah, I think FSU totally just overlooked that Louisville team. I think they just kind of weren't ready for that. It got punched in the mouth.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Hey, which is kind of surprising, right? Don't you think? I mean, how could Florida State go into that game overlooking anybody?
Well, they came off a hot season. I see it. I mean, you're cocky if you go into that game and you're coming from Tallahassee. I think you're right. I think that's a fair analysis. They came in and they got punched in the mouth. But I give Jimbo a lot of credit. He's been coming back and he makes a lot of great adjustments at halftime. I think he's a really good coach. I think he prepped really well for this Clemson game, but again, Dabo's got his number, and it was a blowout. It wasn't a blowout.
Not at FSU. Clemson's lost 9 of the last 11 now at FSU. That's why I didn't touch that game if you're gambling at home.
Good. Clemson's legit.
I think so.
I
think so. They've got great offense, and that I can't reiterate enough. That defense is just outstanding.
We had asked a couple weeks ago where you would go to school, and nobody said Clemson. I think maybe I have to rethink that.
I've been down there. It is a lot of fun, but it is in the middle of nowhere, so that goes against your beach strategy.
Yeah, it does. It does. Brett, did you sound like you had something you wanted to ask?
Yeah. I think it was last week, Sean. I can't even remember. I think it was last week. We kind of declared the Heisman race almost over. I for really the first time kind of tuned into Jabril Peppers out of Michigan. Have you been seeing what this kid's been doing and how versatile he is? And does he throw his name in the conversation? Does his name deserve to be in the conversation?
It's so funny you bring that up, because after we got off last week and we were saying, it was a lock, the name just hit my head. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to bring up Jabril Peppers. He is unbelievable, dude. He's all over the field. He's Charles Woodson. He's what you want on your team, and he plays for the Booger Eater, who's going to put him in a position to win. I think he'd be on a lot of ballots. He doesn't get as much coverage because he plays a lot on the defensive side of the ball, but I think he'll definitely be up in that race.
Did anybody catch him in that Rutgers game?
I couldn't watch that one. Come on.
Oh my God.
Whoa! Was that a homecoming game for him, by the way?
He was nasty during that Rutgers game. How about the Booger Eater bringing a baseball glove to a game?
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? If you're over the age of 9 and you bring a glove to a baseball game,
11.
All right, fine. Okay, sorry, 11.
There's definitely a picture somewhere of 11-year-old Yefo with a glove. That's why.
Behind me.
I mean, if I was like the ticket guy, I'd be like, no, you can't come in. You can't. Either bring your glove back in the car, or I may be different for the Booger Eater himself. I don't know.
He was with his dad. Does that help?
No, it's worse. That's worse. That means another grown-up looked at him and was like, yeah, you should totally bring your baseball.
Definitely bring that glove.
I wonder if he was wearing cleats again.
Like
he was definitely wearing stupid khakis.
Did you see that? There's like a tweeted at like 7 o'clock in the morning. He's outside in his cleats. Like, dude, come on. Stop taking everything so seriously.
I don't know, man. Your boy Belichick probably does the same thing. Although I don't think Belichick would ever bring a baseball glove to a game.
No, that's for certain.
He doesn't have time for baseball.
He does not have time for baseball. By the way, he just jettisoned Jamie Collins. We could talk about that later in the show. But that's interesting too.
Remember to bring that up because I do want to touch base on that because that guy's life just went from awesome to
yes.
More Cleveland Browns talk.
Yes.
Can't wait.
I love it.
This podcast needs more Cleveland Browns. Talk to me, I guess, about the rankings. The rankings just came out. So I to be in full disclosure, have not even seen them. So as our college football guy, do you want to run down what the rankings are? They just came out this week.
I don't know if I want to run down them all. I think I can hit a few of the highlights of what people are probably surprised about. There are two that stick out to me, and the one that's going to hit everybody is Texas A&M moving up to 4. That's probably a surprise to a lot of people, but they have some good wins. They've the Tennessee win, and also on Auburn. That's a team that's showing life now. Their only losses to Bama game for 3 quarters. So it's not a huge surprise. I'd probably be pretty upset if I'm Washington, but there's so much more to play. And a lot of this, in my opinion, is it's very they need something to talk about, right? So they had to shake it up. They had to move it off of the AP to differentiate themselves. I'm not for or against the Texas A&M jump. I thought that they would kind of emerge at some point anyway, so it doesn't really bother me all that much. But Auburn, that other jump and keeping them moving them to 9 was pretty big. They beat the pants off Ole Miss last week, and they beat a pretty good LSU team. Their losses now are only to Clemson, number 2, and Texas A&M, number 4. So it's kind of I assume that's what that decision was about. But all these teams have tough roads ahead, man. Auburn has to get through Alabama. Texas A&M's got some tough stuff coming up. It's an immediate knee-jerk reaction now. However, I think it's going to play out anyway, right? So we have some time. There's nothing to really overreact to. I'm sure the folks in Washington and Seattle are pretty upset, but I wouldn't read. Yeah, Louisville dropping down below Ohio State.
I mean, their only loss is to Clemson. I mean, Ohio State lost to Penn State, not even ranked.
But they've had some nail biters, Louisville.
They found a way to win.
But Ohio State also has wins against Oklahoma and Wisconsin, which is what I imagine brought them over Louisville.
That's why I'm not on the committee and you are.
The committee showed some big respect to Penn State at 12. I was a little surprised. I wish Ras was here, but I was pretty. It was interesting to me to see Penn State there. I don't really think of them as on the cusp of top 10, but
seriously,
they're sitting there.
Joe Pops.
One for Joe Pops.
So I don't know. Why don't you give us, I guess, a little bit of what the week ahead looks like? I know it's not exactly a monster week.
Yeah, it's not a monster week. It's a little light, but there's obviously the two big matchups. Bama LSU is going to be huge. LSU is coming back, and if there was a Hall of Fame interim coach position, Ed Orgeron would probably get it. We've talked about him before, but he's taking that team to where they need to be, and they're starting to look pretty good. There's going to be estimated seven first-round draft picks on the field for that game. So it's going to be a slugfest. That'll be one to watch for sure. Nebraska, Ohio State has some big implications, so we'll see what happens there. Ohio State's had, 2 slow weeks, but I think they kind of crack their neck and take care of business. Do you want the Sean Farrell lock of the week, Yampo?
No, I need it. I don't want it. I need it. I mean, my children's college fund relies on this week in and week out.
Which is currently at 0 based off the Baylor. But
I'm a better NFL better than college.
Exactly on credit. The balance is below 0, right?
I'm on marker.
Yeah.
All right, so I know we're on Facebook Live, but do we have sound effects? Do I get like a shotgun noise for the lock of the week, or do I get anything?
A shotgun
Why
noise?
would a shotgun?
Yeah, I don't know. Lock it up. Anyway,
you better lock it up.
Yeah, better shut it down. The Sean Farrell lock of the week is Florida -5.5 over Arkansas. I think Arkansas prides itself on the run. Florida's D is just too good. They played their best game of the year, arguably, against Georgia last week. They held Nick Chubb, who's a great running back, to 20 yards on the ground. So unless Arkansas has got something up their sleeve where they're going to start airing it out, which I probably wouldn't do either because Florida's got 2 NFL probably first round, second round draft picks in their secondary. I wouldn't do it. So I would go ahead, Yampo, and lock up Florida -5.5.
I'm looking down because I'm on my phone right now. I'm looking for it so I can lock it in. That and Michigan -31 seems like an easy one. Roots Chris. If I'm working at Roots Chris, I'm definitely making that offer.
I don't know.
What was the name of that running back? Nick Chubbs?
Nick Chubb, yeah.
God, that is an unfortunate.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for somebody to bite on that.
That is just an
Chubbs.
unfortunate name.
Since you guys aren't big college football fans, I could just be tossing names and things out there that you wouldn't
We'd be
know.
like, oh, that guy's
It'd be
great.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love that
yeah.
guy.
Hey, Sean, what about the Michigan tight end? Isn't he
Jake Butt?
Jake Butt?
Cool. Either Jeff or myself would love to see Jake Butt on our team next year on Sundays.
Yeah.
That's for
The
sure.
Reese's All-Star game will be fantastic with those guys sitting next to each other.
Hingle McCraggleberry
Yeah.
next to Jake Butt. And, what was his name?
Chubb.
Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb. Always a good time. So we got a lot to look forward to at college football coming up the next couple of weeks. This week's a little bit light, but as we get down towards the end of the year, things will really start to shake out, and those rankings will start to make a little sense. Hey, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to stick around?
I'd love to stick around and have a beer. Thank you.
They gonna have myself a beer. They gonna have myself a
All right. So this was actually the last of our Rocktoberfest beer series that we had planned out for October, and we decided to push it till today for a number of reasons. But we're going to still do that last October beer anyway. So, Brett, you had suggested a list of beers. We actually ended last week with probably the best one with the Schlafly. But this week we are going into the Weyerbacher Imperial Pumpkin. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. Full disclosure. I mean, now that we're on Facebook Live, now that I'm live, I can't really hide behind my screen anymore. It was easy sometimes.
Make a beer taste so no.
I'm not going to say that. Don't worry.
Hey, I just did a quick peek. There's 7 people on right now. There's 7.
Oh man, geez, my heart's racing.
The numbers are crushing. By the way, for those coming to you live, the Cubs are up 3-0.
Go! I wish I had that "Go Cubs Go" song.
I wish I took the over.
Betting on baseball, always a good call.
So,
Weyerbacher.
Coors Light.
Listen,
I pretty much, so I can't hide behind this anymore. So I full disclosure, I'm not drinking a Weyerbacher tonight.
No.
No, this is my
was
beer
your
for the
idea.
evening.
So
This was my idea, And
why don't you talk about the Weyerbacher that you made Paul and I buy?
In my defense, it's November 1st, so we're not drinking October beers anymore. But this was, I guess, the last one that came to my mind. Just thinking of something that was widely available for all of us. I enjoy Weyerbacher as a brewery themselves. They're from out east in Pennsylvania, out west in Pennsylvania. Sorry. And this is like one of the first, big time, widely available Imperial pumpkins that came out on the market when this oversaturation of pumpkin ale kind of started about maybe 2 years ago or so. This one usually comes out even like first out of all of them. So it's like June when this thing comes out and you're like, really? 8%, nothing crazy about it. It's kind of got that nutmeg, caramel, pumpkin spice type of thing going on. It's spicy. It's you consider it full bodied. It's full bodied, but I'm not blown away by this beer like I am the other ones that we talked about, especially the Schlafly. That one that we discussed last week is pretty much the pinnacle of pumpkin beers. So I know you guys weren't overly thrilled either. You can feel free to speak on it, Jeff, Paul.
No, I'm giving this one to Paul.
Okay.
I'm like you, Brett. I usually like Weyerbacher's beers. What they put out, it's usually good. They have a really good bourbon aged beer that kind of was my introduction to Weyerbacher, so I kind of kept going back to them. But I'm just really not a big fan of this beer. I think it's almost too spicy. It comes off like a heavy clove flavor, and it's kind of off-putting to me. So, I think some of the other beers that we had, the Schlafly and the Pumpkins, kind of mask the alcohol a lot better than this beer does. Coming in 8%, it's not a killer, but I feel like the alcohol comes through a little too much. So this one's probably my least favorite of the Rocktober series, but
I definitely agree. Least favorite.
Did you say clove?
Clove. It's
like
a spice.
What Jerry Boyle used to smoke?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that, because legitimately, as I'm drinking this, all I can picture is like it's like 1998, and some dopey girl in the corner of a room is smoking these things, and we're like,
Clove.
like, no, it's a clove. It's not a cigarette. And I'm like, no, it smells horrible. Like whatever you're doing right there is worse than.
No, man, it's a clove. Shut up.
It's like I walked into Native Art. And I'm like, get away from me, you patchouli.
Oh my God. I haven't thought about native art.
That's what it is, man. That's what the beer. It smells
incense.
like.
It smells like incense.
No, it's
Who wants to drink beers that smell like incense? That's why Sean is drinking the best beer of the night, a CL smoothie.
Agreed.
Sean, what are you
Hey,
drinking?
by the way, since you guys started talking about whatever crappy beer that you're drinking, viewership has gone down 28%.
Oh no.
I think it was Brett's description.
All right, well, let's appeal to the masses. Let's talk about
What are you drinking, Sean?
I'm drinking a cold Coors Light from the Rocky Mountains. Doesn't get any better than that, baby.
But what size? Because last week you legitimately had like a keg on your back.
I toned it down. I visited a different store. I did not go with the pounder. I went with a nice 12-ounce can. The Rocky Mountains are blue, and I am enjoying.
So you know
this
it's cold.
lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged Coors Light.
Did you happen to catch your boy McConaughey's drink of choice?
We were not in a drinking environment at the time, but I have seen him have a few Coors Lights in his day.
College football is definitely not a place for drinking.
McConaughey seems like a bourbon man.
He used to. He drank bourbon long before anybody paid him to drink bourbon. I don't know.
And drive Lincolns.
Nothing from McConaughey. You got nothing from him as far as what he likes to drink.
We tossed up some horns. That was about it.
Wait, were you actually with him, or were you just like the drunk, like shouting back at the suite, like,
No,
all right?
Definitely has a picture with him.
Oh, I missed that.
We leave you off those.
I kept living my life.
Like a 12-year-old
Sorry.
girl.
Yeah, that's a private thread.
Is it the fact that I can't put a whole conversation in one bubble and then I just keep putting them in individual lines?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I know. Damn. I'll work on that. Sorry.
I think we're done with that. All right, so let's go to the NFL. And I'm going to lead with this. And for those of you, we're going to peel back the curtain again. You know, we have a little bit of a rundown that we all kind of work off of. This is the best line that's ever been on any rundown that's ever been created. NFL Week 8, another tie. Ties are stupid.
Fair.
Agreed. Edited.
Yeah, it did not necessarily say ties are stupid the first time.
No, it did not.
Ties are great when you're watching your when you live in the city of a local team and you're not rooting for them and they tie. It's great. It's amazing.
Can we talk about how appropriate it is that a game in Europe ends in a tie?
They're used to it though. Like every soccer game ends in a tie.
Like, you know, they went to like the tavern next door and were like, oh, it ended in a tie, and they just didn't care. Didn't matter.
Are we really going to have a team over in London? Like, are they really? Is that what the end game is for this?
What do you think? What would you call them?
I don't know.
The London
The
Fog.
London Imperialists. I don't know.
The London Fog.
London.
It's so bad.
That was pretty good.
No, it's total NFL. Like that would be 100% what they would go with, and they'd have like a stupid foggy Big Ben logo.
Tremendous.
That's XFL. That's XFL.
Oh, that was amazing too.
Vince McMahon. Another Vince McMahon reference, not made by me. Just pointing it out.
That's the first time I've seen Ice the Kicker work in the last several NFL games or football games I've watched.
Embarrassing now, right? I mean, Jesus.
And it was funny because I was explaining to my wife, I was like, oh, they took the timeout. She goes, I know, like they're icing him. I got it. And I was like, oh, I hope he misses it. Clearly rooting against the Redskins. And he just yanked it. It's so bad. So bad. It was only a tie because they missed the extra point, you know? Nugent missed that extra point. And that's the only reason we're having this conversation.
Nugent was probably high.
Oh, I could have used that extra point in my fantasy.
He was one of those guys when he was with the. I think he was Paul. Was he with the Jets when he got caught smoking weed, or was he already in Washington?
He might have moved on. I just know the Jets wasted a stupid pick on him.
Yeah, but he was a part of that exodus. Like they went and like the Redskins. Dan Snyder one year was like, "I love the Jets," and he like went and signed every Jet player. He was like, "I need Lavernius Coles. I need him on my team."
Lavernius Coles. Wow. Do you guys know how many ties? What's the? Have there ever been like 3 ties in a season? What's the most ties in a season?
I don't know. I know the last time that there were 2, they were back to back in '97. So they were like.
Why do you know that?
Because I heard it on the radio this morning. I think
it was because we lost our research guy and he had to fill in the gap.
We totally did. Just so you know, if any of you are listening, if you're expecting any kind of facts going on right now, you're listening to the wrong show.
Sometimes I go back and I fact check like what we do. I say things 7 times an episode that are totally inaccurate.
It's like a presidential debate. What's the difference?
Wrong.
You're wrong.
We're an amateur sports.
Exactly. That's what I read it off as. It's amateur.
You're a puppet.
I actually do have some research in the next game.
All right, well, go to it.
It's a quick one.
All right, Ras, what do you got?
The Seahawks losing to the Saints. Seahawks still sitting at 4-2-1, so season's not lost by any stretch of the imagination. But it just looks like something's wrong with Russell Wilson. Only 5 touchdown passes in the first 7 games, and he has 44 yards rushing. For a running quarterback, that's and not really what you expect. And those 44 yards are tied for 20th among quarterbacks with none other than Brett's love, object of Brett's affection. I don't know what else I can say.
Sure.
Mr. Tom Brady.
I thought you were going to go with pumpkin beers.
No, that's my object of affection.
Brady's been running a lot this year.
Brady,
that run he had was amazing the other day.
Brady's got something in common with one of our listeners right here. I just saw that Nick Ockermanko just joined the podcast. So a little shout out to Nicky D. I remember when we were playing football with Nicky, he didn't exactly have the best knees.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Nick, you can correct us if we're wrong, but I'm comparing you to Tom.
Yes,
Brady,
I think Nick has a
is.
bad knee. I think I remember that.
Fact check.
No, I'm just like Tom Brady. That's what you should say.
Well, I saw a report on Pro Football Talk today that Russell Wilson's hurt or he's got some chest situation going on or something like that.
I mean, he had a knee and ankle.
He's got a knee. Yes, he has 2 of them.
Thanks, Yampo.
Nick doesn't apparently.
I hate that though. I hate that.
He's out with an arm. Yeah, we got it.
Transition to he's out with an ankle. Like it doesn't make any sense. Why do we do that? And we all started to do it. Like eventually we all just gave in. We're like, no, he's totally out.
I hold strong. I refuse to say that. It sounds stupid.
Yeah, good for
Do you say RBIs?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes,
If the guy drives
I
in
do.
2 RBIs.
Yeah, I do say RBI.
That's really stupid.
I understand that. Yes.
I actually say RSBI. That's how I say it.
Oh, I actually just say runs batted in.
RSBI. Sounds like a medical condition. RSBI. Texans win. Hooray.
God, they're bad.
Oh, they're terrible.
They keep winning that division too. I don't want to see that team host a playoff game. They're going to get blown out again.
Yes, they are. Probably by like the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I wish Tennessee or Jacksonville just step up and win that division already. I mean,
Yeah,
Indy's a lost cause, but
But you know what's crazy about that is like, then you think back to when Indy was dominating that division. They were still terrible. Tennessee was still bad. Jacksonville was still bad. Texas was still bad. Like that division sucks. Sucks.
I will say even though they'll probably make the playoffs, Houston, I'm happy. I'm happier as a Jet fan than I would be as a Texan fan because they threw so much money at that quarterback, right?
Oh my God.
They'll never get
yeah.
it.
What's his name?
Brock Osweiler.
I just want someone to pay me $72 million to do my job poorly. That's all I'm asking. It's not a big deal.
Like $78,000 to do my job poorly. Like just not show up. Like just be like, I'm gonna.
We do this poorly for free.
Yeah, it's true. We do this poorly for free.
That's your opinion, Paul. Hey, Cove, how about your Jets signing CJ Spiller? Get excited.
Did they really?
Get excited.
No.
Okay, they did.
No.
Great.
He was signed and cut by the Seahawks, right? This year.
Yes.
I took a flyer on him in fantasy.
Okay, but
one week.
Can we talk about something? You guys have been talking about Minnesota Vikings a few podcasts ago, like they were God's gift, and I'm telling you that they weren't. And now they've lost 2 in a row. Going on the road, losing to the Eagles, that was a tough game. But last night against the Bears, like I'm telling you, their offense stinks. It's pedestrian at best.
Their line is terrible. They give Bradford no time to throw. The running game's not there. They're just not as good.
I don't think anybody that's currently on this panel ever was like a big buyer of the.
Maybe that was Rass.
It was Rass, and we were buyers.
Rass, yeah.
We were buyers of the Vikings defense. We were saying, you know what, they have a pretty legitimate defense. I can't imagine because I would have ripped them to shreds if somebody defended Sam Bradford on this podcast.
I think my quote to Rass in the beginning of the year was, if you weren't a fan of Teddy Bridgewater, you're going to really hate Sam Bradford.
That was a quote verbatim.
Yeah. Like he stinks. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before he shows his true colors. It's Jay Cutler.
I was at that game last night, and one of the funniest lines came out because it was Halloween. And they said the Bears dressed up as an actual football team, which was pretty good, but it was kind of an ugly game.
It was so ugly. Oh, God. It was like watching that game, you're like, yep. Yeah, this is exactly how I would imagine the Bears to be playing. Like, it just drive, like lucky shovel pass for 70 yards, can't punch it in, field goal, 7 minutes off the clock.
But primetime game. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, we all can't be the Patriots, Brett. Jeez.
Nobody's saying that. Come on. There's no reason to rip the efficiency and total domination of the New England Patriots.
I got to be honest. This is why I bet on the Patriots, because I get to live vicariously through the Patriots fans, right? I'm a fan for that moment in time.
You are. You know what? Truthfully, I think if you have money on the game, you could be a fan of whoever you want.
Well, trust me, it's every Sunday in my house.
So do whatever you want that way.
Who was it that said that I would play Hitler and Mussolini in the outfield? Was that Billy Martin?
It sounds like something Billy Martin would say.
So realistically, if you got money on it, it is what it is.
Yeah, or maybe Pete Rose if we're talking about who had money on it.
I know we were talking about in-game bets last week, and I promise this won't be the last time I mention this, but I was doing in-game wagering, and I guess San Diego jumped up to a 7-3 lead, and I just hopped right all over that Denver Broncos pick 'em.
You Floyd Mayweathered it.
I want to point this out. Just I'm being totally honest with you. I'm looking right in your eyes, Yampo.
Look at me.
For the purposes of this podcast alone,
Yes.
I will not ever hold an intervention to tell you you have a problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem if it was big dollars. We're talking like $25 to $100 bets.
Chump change. Just
That's not a problem, is it?
Just-
When it adds up to like $1,000, maybe that's a problem. I don't know.
Depends on how many of them you're making a week.
I don't know if Joni's watching.
No.
well, that's why you say allegedly. You allegedly
Fact check.
put points.
Yeah.
How about those Oakland Raiders, huh?
They love them. Love them.
Brett's Raiders because they're successful. So clearly now.
Actually, I'm highly invested in Derek Carr. Can we talk about how he put up 75 points for my fantasy team?
Wait,
Threw for over 500 yards, man.
What league do you play in where you get 75 points for one player?
I don't know. It's a work league. I don't
Yeah,
even
clearly.
know. I don't
Very
know
special.
how it breaks down. But he had a monster game. I mean, he threw for 500 plus yards, 4 TDs, and they set the NFL record in penalties and still won the game.
It tells you something about that
23
team.
penalties or something like that.
That's absurd.
It's insane.
Or it tells you how bad the Bucks are.
Yes, I think it
That's
speaks
bad.
more to that. I mean,
more to do with that.
would not be happy right now if I was Del Rio. I would not be satisfied with that win in the slightest. They have to step their game up, especially if they want to continue to be considered contenders. But I've been buying into Oakland since week 1, week 2, so I'm still on board.
They have a chance this weekend, though. I mean, they play Denver.
At Oakland.
Yeah, this is.
I think it's at Oakland.
It's a pick 'em. Just in case you're curious.
This is a game I'd like to see. This is where I think, I don't know how the game's going to shake out, obviously, but I think if Oakland pulls out this game, this is where they can really make a statement and take the next step as a team. Because Denver's not world beaters, but they weren't world beaters last year. They have an excellent defense, but teams can adjust. If they're able to find a way to win that game and win it without committing an NFL record in penalties, they're going to take the step to the next level, and I'm excited to see it.
Did Janikowski miss 2 in that game?
Yeah, but they weren't chip shots.
One was like 50, wasn't it?
I think he got iced on that one too. No,
No, he didn't. I don't think he got iced. Derek Carr was super pumped up though, because he like scrambled for like 30 yards and fist pumped to the stands, and then Janikowski came on all overweight and sweating and just pushed it.
Smoking a cigarette.
Do you think Carr put himself in the MVP conversation at all?
No.
No.
I think so.
How?
If they keep winning,
I mean, behind Brady, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's could you talk about him? Yeah, I think you can.
Tom Brady's not winning the MVP.
Yeah, he missed. There's no
I
chance.
think that's more reason for him to win it. He was 1 week he was on a beach in France, and the next week he's throwing 4 touchdowns and 400 yards.
Hey, yeah, but can you find a line on MVP futures?
I will do that.
They went 3-1 without him. He's not winning the MVP. There's too many other guys that are legitimately more valuable to the team.
Who else?
But they could go 12-0 with him.
Okay, that's fine.
The NFL is giving Tom Brady the MVP. Like it's not happening.
Okay, you asked for it. Here it comes. Hold on. All right, the 2016 NFL MVP odds. I shouldn't have said anything because it could take longer. Okay, here we go. Oh, Tom Brady is plus 150, clear favorite. You got Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, Matt Ryan. This is garbage. What is this?
They'll give it to someone like Julio Jones. Like,
how about like Von Miller?
But when was the last time they gave it to a defensive player?
Well,
look that up too. Where's our stat guy?
If they're on, seriously,
Where's Tony Reali? He actually
Is he
lives in
still in
DC.
China?
I should call him.
If there was an opportunity to give him to a defensive guy instead of give it to Brady, they're going to give it to the defensive guy.
They'd probably give it to Brett's boy, who's just moved on to Cleveland.
All right,
Jamie Collins.
So I want
good segue, Yampo. Go ahead.
Good job, Yampo. I want you to be him for a second, Brett. Right? So
yeah, because I go to bed 7-1 and I wake up 0-8.
Right.
It's like every Saturday night, my 20.
So I'm going to let that line hang right there. Just hold tight. But realistically, the rumor was that he was doing too much freelancing on the defensive side. Like when he was on the field, he was doing what he wanted to do rather than his job. Did you hear that or no?
I heard a little bit of that. I heard that freelancing in the terms that he wasn't
He wasn't quote unquote
necessarily doing his job. He wasn't doing his job, and that showed. They pulled him in run situations this past Sunday. I think he was in for like 48 of 78 defensive snaps, which isn't necessarily uncommon for him because he is a 3-down linebacker there. But what I think really was the catalyst behind all of this was the trade deadline is looming. He wasn't really buying in. He talked about how he wanted Von Miller money, and he turned down $11 million from New England. So in typical Belichickian fashion, he got traded. I mean, that was it. We reached the end point. So rather than leave at the end of the year with no value, you at least get something back, and it's time to move on.
Yeah, I think that was probably the big thing, right? I mean, him asking for Von Miller money. I mean, it's easy to talk trash about a guy when he gets traded, right? It's easy to think a guy gets traded because he's done something wrong, or he's dogging it, he's not making an effort. But, it's another thing for them to realize they're not going to pay this guy what he supposedly wants. He's going to be a headache.
Right.
And so let's go get a pick for him and move him on. And Belichick says, next man up. Let's go.
He does. And truthfully, I'm not just blowing smoke. He does it pretty much better than any general manager I see in terms of cutting. He'd rather cut his investment a little early than hang on to it a little late. And
listen, several weeks ago, I sat here and I made the plea that he should be the president of the United States.
That is true. You did.
And this morning, so clearly the guy's, he's the best coach in the league. And then this morning I'm driving to work and I'm hearing Boomer and Carton over here in New York, and Carton says the same damn thing. I'm like, what are you listening to my show? Like, yeah.
That's two. Sean had Mike and Mike on us, right?
You should have called in.
I should have.
They don't respond to my tweets.
And just played
because they're scared, Sean.
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, look, the bottom line is Cleveland is a dumpster fire. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter who they just traded for, with the exception of maybe Brady from the Pats. They're not going to improve. The Pats come up again as winners because that's just what they do. We'll talk, I guess, very briefly about the Jets. Paul, you have any positive takeaways at all from this last week? I mean, they got the win.
I mean, they got the win, but Fitzpatrick was terrible again in the first half. I think he had like 3 completions.
Here's the question I had. He got dinged up like real bad in the first half. And I'm watching the game with my wife, and she's like, I don't think I'm going to watch the NFL anymore because they're so full of crap. Like he gets hit helmet to helmet clearly, and they don't call it, and they don't call the penalty, and then they mark him short of the first down. Like, between that and the stuff that happened with Newton, like
Fitzpatrick definitely had a concussion.
Of course.
So did Alex Smith.
Yeah, and
he fell out. Like his face rubbed against the turf.
But yet, we're very serious about player safety. Yet the team doctors were like, yeah, go ahead, dude. You're totally fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep throwing.
But I don't know. So, I mean, I hate to blame it on that because I think he's been trash all year. But, clearly he was not right. Second half, they played a little bit better. But for me, it was just typical team is just more talented than the other. And eventually it just shook out that way.
I mean, slightly, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, not by leaps and bounds.
But I think the biggest takeaway for me was I think Quincy Enunwa just keeps continuing to impress. I mean, he reminds me of not as talented, but like a poor man's Anquan Bolden. Just a big target in the middle of the field, makes plays. Really, with Decker out, I mean, he's had his role expand, and he's really stepped up. But other than that, I think the defense still sucks. The line is not getting pressure on the quarterback. Revis got toasted all first half by Pryor.
100+ yards, right? In one half?
100 plus. 106 in the first half. And it was like exclusively on Revis too. So
yeah, it was on him. Somebody on the radio this morning said you could buy a Groupon now on Revis Island.
It's bad. I mean, it's bad. And there's a lot of years left on that deal. There's a lot of money left on that deal. And it's
actually not as bad as you think. Because
I think it is.
This is This is up.
It's not Bobby Bonilla bad.
No, it's not.
No contract.
I'm watching the game, and I'm watching him get torched in the first half, and so I go to over the cap, and I'm like, how many more years do we have to watch this, right? So I look at it. If you cut him next year, you only like eat like $7 million.
Only.
Well, he's getting paid like $17 million a year. So
that's crazy.
So I mean, realistically, I think they'll keep him next year, and then the following year, if they cut him, I think they eat 2. So we may only have another year of Revis Island, on the Jets, or they'll just restructure, or maybe somebody.
Yeah, Darrelle Revis will definitely take less money.
Yeah, right.
Well, if they're going to cut him, maybe he will.
No, I know, but maybe I don't know. Maybe he tries to look one more time for one other sucker team out there.
I'm sure the Pats, and then they pick him up, and he goes and plays well for the Pats again.
His time in New England's done.
The Giants had a good week this week.
They didn't lose.
They had a bye, so they didn't lose, and they got a big game coming up in the division, 4-3 against the Eagles. Somehow they're 2.5-point favorites at home. I'm not sure why. The Eagles.
I don't like that line at all.
The Eagles own the Giants the last several years, especially in the Meadowlands, and I don't know, but it's kind of like last year. The Giants coming out of the bye had the whole kind of season in front of them, knew all the cards, held all the cards, knew what they needed to do, and we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a stinker against the Eagles.
Am I crazy in thinking that the Eagles are I think, honestly, and I'm not trying to speak in hyperbole, a much better football team right now than the Giants?
I think you're probably a little crazy.
Okay. That's fair. I mean,
where do the Redskins fit in?
In a tie scenario?
Yeah.
No, listen, you're looking at those teams, they're
all fairly even.
Division.
I think they're all fairly even. I mean, listen, the Redskins or the Cowboys, obviously, I don't know how the Giants beat them in week 1, but they're kind of running away. Thankfully, they're only 2 games out, but I think the Eagles and Redskins and Giants are all kind of same middle of the road. They let teams hang around. They're not able to kind of pull away or distance themselves or kind of win games when they need to win games. So only one of those 3 teams is going to be able to do that this year. Last year was the Redskins, and we'll see if the Giants can do that this year.
I think the Redskins are the worst out of those 3.
I appreciate that.
I know, but I know how you're saying, it kind of is a coin flip between the 3 of them. They're, only one of them's coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who it is.
Right now, it's the Giants based on tiebreakers.
You don't have any wild card coming out of the NFC East.
Right now we do.
Yeah, because Dallas is leading. Is
That's what I'm saying. So do you think that aside from Dallas, you think that?
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity. I do. You don't?
No, I really don't. It's a very small percentage that possibility that possibility shakes out. So I would say no, I don't see that.
I think part of it's me being a homer, obviously, but I think the Eagles could win some games, put together a string of wins. I think the Redskins have some of the tougher teams left. They still got to play Minnesota, even though Minnesota's not that great. They got to play Green Bay still, which even though Green Bay's 4-3, it's still a tough game.
Now I'm no Giant hater at all, Yampo, but nothing would make me happier for Minnesota to beat you guys after
they already did.
That you talk. I love them just smacking you around. It'd be great.
They already did beat us.
No, I'm talking like when it matters. I'm talking,
you mean like a playoff game?
Yeah, like you both get in and they just.
Who would Ras root for?
He'd be asleep. He would probably.
Probably in China, so you'd have to watch it on delay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the one question I did want to throw to you, Yampo, before we kind of move past football is, you stay in your division. You look around your division. You've got young quarterbacks on pretty much every team but yours. So at what point, I know that you have not been an Eli apologist. So at what point do you pull the trigger and attempt to get younger at the quarterback?
Yeah, I think they got to start thinking about that the next draft or 2. I mean, Ryan Nassib has kind of just been biding his time as a backup. He's not going to do anything. And I think Eli, he's probably having, I haven't looked at this, but he's probably having his worst year statistically in quite some time.
Just by the eye test, I feel like he's probably having his worst. No, not in a bad way. Just
I know.
He's a, I like to hate on Eli Manning, but guy goes out there and performs when it matters.
He gets the job done.
he gets the job done. And not only that, he's healthy. And that's something you can't draft for. You can't coach. He takes the snap every single week. So
he's healthy for now, but that line is questionable, right?
But here's the
They
question.
didn't address it in free agency. They didn't address it in
Nope.
the draft.
that was their two big holes: defense, O-line. Spent $200 million on defense. Didn't really do
Well,
much.
that's why Dallas is so good right now. I mean, Dallas 2 years ago spent the time and the money to draft a line. They put the line together, and now they're reaping the benefits of that. But here's a question that I'll throw to you guys, especially Sean, the college guru. You see these guys coming out of college, the top 2-3 quarterbacks, and they're able to kind of play right away. If you don't have a high draft pick, what's the percentage nowadays of the kind of no-name guys are kind of coming up? I mean, I don't see the Giants having a high pick anytime soon. And so how do you groom somebody to become Eli's successor and not fall into kind of quarterback misery like the Redskins or the Browns, where they're just kind of cycling through, temporary bodies?
And the Jets.
I don't think the percentages change all that much. I agree with what you're saying about what needs to get done and what they need to do. But when you look at like a Dak Prescott, who's a 4th round pick, he was good in college. He had his flaws. I think it's just one of those weird ones that kick up and you can't really explain. A lot of people wanted, what was it, Jamarcus Russell?
Yeah.
And that to work out.
But he can throw a football like 80 yards from his ass. So that's
quarter mile, probably.
Yeah, but I mean, what good did it do him?
Yeah. No, I don't think the percentages change, but I do agree that you pick somebody that maybe has the build and potential that you can groom. I don't know if you necessarily need to go high.
And I think you think that
go
trend,
up to do it.
You think that trend of kind of the running quarterback is kind of starting to go the way of the dodo with the way that hits are going and kind of concussions? I mean, you got to be a pocket passer to be successful in the NFL, don't you think?
I 100% agree with that, Yampo.
Yeah, but I mean, you're seeing some more of it change, right? Like, I think Cam Newton's an interesting example of a guy who can bounce around a little bit. I know you're talking about concussions, but maybe you see a little more of the athletic guys moving in. But yeah, I think you're right. And you don't, in the college game, you're not seeing as much of that anymore, right? So guys going into those positions they're more prepared because they're throwing the ball more and they're reading a lot more than maybe they used to have to do. But I don't think there's many that sit in the pocket, especially the guys who are winning games in college. So that's why you go to a North Dakota State and find somebody like that.
I know.
Well, I mean, it'll be interesting. As the game evolves. My only question to you was, how long do you stick with Eli?
I think they got maybe 2 more years until we go back into the Danny Cannell, Kent Graham, Dave Brown misery cycle.
It's like being 6'5" and not being able to throw a spiral.
Exactly. It's like me every day.
Being Dave Brown. That one was for Paul.
Where do we go from there?
All right, so let's get a Cubs update. Chicago boy, what do we got?
It's unfortunately a commercial when you shoot it to me. I have no idea.
I have no clue what this color is.
It was 3-0.
It's still
It's still 3-0.
Yeah. And I think they're in the 4th now.
Up third. Bases juiced.
Bases loaded.
Yeah.
Cleveland is making a pitching change.
So
if you're live, just hold on.
Hold on.
When we get back from the break.
Hold on. When we get back from the break, Yampa's going to give you pitch-by-pitch betting tips. So
over under right now. So, let me see what the actually active line is right now.
Hey Jeff, do you want to do basketball over unders, or do you want to?
Yeah, you want to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, we said we were going to do it. It should be a short segment, but we talked about it recently.
Let's go just local.
All right.
We'll close out the show with locals. So I don't know how much NBA anybody here besides Brett and I keep tabs on, but Brett is a huge Brooklyn Nets fan.
Big time.
As we discussed.
Big time.
This year.
Yeah, this year.
Brett, your Nets,
Jay-Z, right?
over underline, the Vegas line for the beginning of the year. I haven't updated him since before the season started, but your over under was 20.5, so 20.5. Give us a rundown, I guess, on your team and whether you think they'll go over or under 20.5.
I think they're going to go under. I see them. Yeah. They are not a very good basketball team, and I guess the upside of that is if they go over, that'll actually surprise me. But
Stop talking. Grand Slam.
oh man, I'm behind. Addison
guess
Russell.
what? Oh. Damn. I didn't get the in game.
Go Cubs, go!
Oh man,
I am
7-0.
so angry. That's
Yeah,
the
but-
over.
Yeah, but did you take the over?
That's the over. Come on.
6.5.
Wow.
Oh,
I
there are
couldn't
some
get it in time.
stunned
Damn.
faces in Believe Land right now.
Wow. Fly the W.
Awesome.
I can't wait
It's
till they
over.
come back. They lose 8-7.
Wow, that is just mean.
I'll tell you.
And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I can't wait till I get to tell them to shut up.
Okay. Well, God, that just stings.
Okay, so the Nets under 20 and a half.
Yeah, I see it as under 20 and a half, and it's funny because I was going to make a reference to the movie Major League. When I read the roster of the Nets, I feel like that scene in Major League when they're reading the spring training roster and they're like, who the hell are these guys? Like I'm
This
positive
guy's dead.
Yeah, well, cross him off then. I feel like that's what is happening when I'm like, wait, who is this guy on that? I mean, who am I getting excited about? Jeremy Lin bringing the ball up court and throwing it to Brook Lopez. I really like Brook Lopez. I think he's a valuable piece of a good team and possibly a good team that could make a deep run in the NBA. But
Brook Lopez sounds like Andrew Luck to me. They both sound like they've just got like marble.
they both sound like they have giant
They
syndrome.
both went to Stanford.
It's like
I got the ball in the post and I put it in hoop.
it's like
Anybody want a peanut?
I
fork.
I feel with these guys that there is, I mean, this is 76er level bottoming out, and they don't have, there's no future. There's no plan in place for Brooklyn. There's no future for them right now. They don't have a pick until 2019, I think, maybe even 2020. So, let's cool. Maybe like LeBron James comes to town one night a year.
For the first time, Brett's hopped on the wrong bandwagon.
Yeah, but it's nice to watch. It's nice to see this team struggle. You
Yes. Who says that about their team? It's nice to watch my team struggle.
You hope that with that they hired the assistant GM from San Antonio to come and right the ship this year. Dave, I think you can speak to how important it is to have a stable general manager. We went from Lou in New Jersey to Ray Sherrill right now.
Look at that hockey. He's jumping hockey on you, Cove.
No, I'm just saying, I think you know how important it is to have the right guy at the top there. And I think that's the only thing that Brooklyn has going for him right now, but he hasn't proven anything. He's not a GM. He was never been a GM. He was an assistant GM. So this is his first time taking the reins over there in Brooklyn. We'll see what he has in place, but he really wasn't dealt a lot of cards to start.
Knowing Brett's history, the odds are very strong that like Greg Popovich one day will be like, you know what, I'm done with San Antonio, and he'll end up
just gonna go coach Brooklyn.
And they'll win like 13 championships. And Brett's like, I always loved them. They were the best. They're my team.
I told you, dude. I always wanted to root for a team from Brooklyn.
Bob Kelly, dude, the Brooklyn Nets, dude. I love the Nets, dude.
I have to agree with you though. I think I'm going to take the under on that team. They to me they just look like a 17 to 18 win team.
Can we make a bet? Like, can we make like a podcast bet?
Shocking.
Yes, we can.
I mean, can we put like 100 on this that they're going to win 21 games, Brett? Come on.
Talk to me off air.
No.
Well,
No one's willing to go on record about that. Right?
You know how many months you have? If you start putting like $1 away a day, you'll be fine.
It's not about that. It's
Yeah, but do us a favor, not tonight because we're gonna get off right now, but check and see what the actual line is now that it's in season. It might be different than 20 and a half.
Okay, but
All right,
before you
They
go
have
to the
one
Knicks,
already, right?
Before you go to the Knicks, I need my two basketball guys to tell me real quick.
Yeah.
Golden State -5 at Portland tonight.
Yeah, I'll take the dubs on that.
Or do you like the over under of 225?
It's a lot of freaking points.
That is a ton of points.
Here's what I would do, just based on our conversation last week. I would look for the second half line.
I won't be up that late.
and then I can't help you.
Brett Matisak, basketball lock of the night.
Yeah,
Take the Ducks.
Sure, because
Take
the only line I
Ducks.
gave you, and you like betting with my money. Sure.
-5 though. I mean, I think that's a good line for the Warriors, but
I thought it was
Me
low
too.
at first glance for someone who
Me
doesn't watch
too.
a lot of basketball.
it is low. But they're still trying to figure it out with Durant and all that stuff.
All right, let's put a cool $30.
Let's put Mill.
All right, 1 million. Okay.
Yeah. just
You-
put him
you
Mill.
1 million Bitcoin.
You better
All right,
wait.
go ahead, Jeff.
The Knicks 38.5. That's the line for the Knicks.
Oof.
I'll give you a little bit of a rundown for the Knicks. You got Derrick Rose, who was innocent of whatever garbage went down that day or that night with a bunch of his boys and an ex-girlfriend of his, which was at the very least shady as hell. He's really good. I mean, we had talked about character in the beginning of the show, and I still think that some of these guys that do these things, especially when they're actually found guilty of it, he was not, should be thrown out of their leagues. But he's very good, and so I think he opens up a lot of opportunities for a lot of these guys. I'm taking the over in 38.5. I think the Knicks are a 43 to a 51 win team.
Whoa.
Yeah, 51 is obviously the absolute highest I think they can go, but I think that they're definitely an above 500 team, and I think that they probably get bounced in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, you and I talked about that. We had almost the same vision for them. I'll take the over on the Knicks there. There's too much talent for 38.5 wins. I mean, that they would have to suffer some serious injuries.
Yeah. Which
exactly. Derrick Rose's leg could snap.
So could Noah. I mean,
but
you
with,
got Ron Baker.
With Noah, you're not looking for much. You're looking for defense. Like you got your big man scoring points is Porzingis down there, and so you just want him to continue to develop. You want Melo to do what Melo does, which is take a shot and drain.
Take another shot.
Yeah.
Take another.
Yeah, and do that. And you want Rose facilitating. I mean, that's what you guys, I don't know how similar it is because we're so early into the Rose era in New York. But I mean, Jeff, your favorite basketball team, and correct me if I'm wrong, of like the past 5 years was those Jason Kidd New York Knicks when he was able to, fly up and down the court and kind of run the offense.
I knew after watching those Knicks teams that he was going to be a good head coach because he coached that team.
Yeah, he coached that team. And that's kind of, I mean, I don't think Rose needs to coach it, although they probably need a better coach. Who's their silly coach right now? Yeah, Jeff Hornacek. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had no idea Jeff Hornacek was the coach of the Knicks, nor did I realize that Marshall Plumlee is on this team. Yuck.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that there was a Plumlee.
Hating on Duke?
I just despise Duke.
Go green?
Go white. It has nothing to do with state. I just, I guess I get it. It's like the New York Yankees of college basketball, and I'm a Yankee fan, but I get it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, to me, if you're looking at these two lines, Dave, and you're looking to make a bet, I think the Knicks are a much better bet than the Nets are. I can't see any way, unless they have more than one of those guys go down for an extended period of time, that they don't hit that 38.5 number.
Oh, well, you want to do 100?
No. No. I mean, you should. You told me.
I'd do that one, Dave. I'd do that one.
No.
I
offered you the Nets.
I know. I'll take the over on the Knicks. You could take the under on the Knicks.
I've got 100, but Sean's going to keep his microphone on mute for 3/4 of the show. Oh, winner.
Silver bullet.
Silver bullet. Hey, while you clowns have been talking, we've had a few comments come in on Facebook, which I've been monitoring.
Yes.
You want an update?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been seeing them, so go ahead.
The most comments came from Jeff's mother.
Home run.
Who was we'll give a big shout out to Grace Coviello for keeping us up to date on the Cubs game. Thank you, Grace.
All right.
Great job.
That's it. That's it.
Knows nothing about sports, so she's watching the World Series and she's like, I am so on point right now.
I'm crushing it, guys.
I'm listening to a sports podcast and I'm giving you play-by-play.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Basically went to like
and I did also receive a friend request from Yampo while we were on.
I mean,
adorable.
I hope that your brother's listening so he knows that I'm coming for him. Everyone that's close to him will be friends with me before I'm friends with him.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
You're so funny.
All right, so that's going to wrap us up today, actually. So we will bounce on. We'll see how this Facebook Live thing has worked. I noticed we've had a couple people jump in and out all night long. So thanks for taking the time to just spend even a couple minutes with us. Hopefully you can provide us some feedback. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, probably more of what you didn't like. But you can check us out on all social media by searching Turn 2 Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, except for Snapchat because Brett hasn't done that yet. That's where we're on.
I tried figuring out, but I think I have to log out of my Snapchat to create a new one. And I don't
Snapchat. So
I don't Snapchat. I just view. I check out Sean's all the time, man. This kid's all over the place. So it's a cool tool. But I don't.
Did it for the nudes.
I do it for the nudes. I definitely do it for the nudes.
Ooh,
I don't know my username and password, so I didn't want to go through all those steps of finding it via email.
These hat guys at hotmail.com.
I'll set it up this week. I'll set up our Snapchat this week.
All right, so you can check us out on Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. We're all over there. Just search Turn 2 Podcast. If you have anything you want to say, you can email us turn2podcast@gmail.com. And so that'll do it, basically, until next time.
Desperandum, dear lady. Across the desert lies the promised land. Goodbye, Mrs. Gloop. You, auf Wiedersehen, Gesundheit, farewell.
Fare thee well to you, my own true love. River Mercy, fare thee well. I am bound for California, a place that I know right well. So fare thee well, my own true love. When I return united, we will be.
I want to give a special shout out to Ed Tang and the Chops, closing us out as they do each and every week with the Leaving Liverpool reunion show coming on December the 23rd down here. Check us out.
On a Yankee clipper ship, Davy Crockett is the name, and the captain's name it is Burgess, and they say that she's a floating shame. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united, we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. Now I sailed with Burgess once before, and I think that I know him well. If a man's a sailor, he will get along. If he's not, then he's sure in hell. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united, we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. All right, Dio. Sun is on the harbor, love. How I wish that I could remain, for I know that it will be a long, long time before I see you again. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united, we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee. One more time. So farewell, my own true love. When I return united, we will be. It's not the leaving of Liverpool that's grieving me, but my darling, when I think of thee.
Well, my hangover's gone and I'm thirsty for more.
Come on, hang on.
These hot guys